In Cavalier, he's not here either, is he? So Father LaCroix, Cavalier's been doing this for several years as well. In the beginning, they were just doing the once a month model, and I think it was more of an adult ed going on while the kids were in the classroom. They also decided that not much was getting done at home and that they should meet every week, but they wanted the parents engaged. So they switched to a model this year, particularly with because of COVID. They switched to a model where the parents and children come together. He has them spaced out, and that he introduces a lesson, or on the church or whatever, and then he might talk about if it's something during Lent or Advent or the Saint of the Day. He might do some kind of intro, and then he basically facilitates. So then the parents use those parent lessons, or actually he just has them look at the textbook, and they work with their children right there. And he goes around and facilitates the parents helping their children with the lesson. And then at the end, he probably does some activity with them together. He said that's going great, and they love it, and they do it every week. He has Crystal as well, and so he's a deacon in Crystal, and he and the deacon switch off places. So 1 week's in Crystal, and the next week he's in Cavalier. But he was surprised how well that worked this year. He's like, we're getting everything done, parents are engaged. Now Cavalier has a history of the parents coming in and doing things there, as does Nativity. So Nativity also is doing this program. They, for years, have had the parents also coming in and doing different things, so that was a plus. What they decided to do this year was, because of COVID and spacing, that parents and children come in, and I think it's just grades 1 through 4, as I remember, or 5. They go with the DRE in the church, spaced out or whatever. She does the same thing. The DRE kind of does an intro. Hey, we're learning about the church. Everybody turn to page 144, which is the same in all 1st through 5th grade. And then she introduces the lesson, and then the parents then work with the children on the lesson. They do their books right there. And then she has guides or different facilitators that go around and kind of sit with them and facilitate lessons or add things or whatever. And then I think they add music in there and songs, and then probably a closing activity. She also said that worked really well. Father Bill, though, had the older kids, so he couldn't be engaged in that family session. She did find with the older children, they weren't interested in working with their parents in front of everybody, so they put them off. So they also like the model. They're also looking to see if they can, twerk some things. Now, they met once a month, so she doesn't know, she hadn't done any kind of evaluation to see if the parents were working at home with the students. I think that's her next step, to talk to the parents and see how this went. She could see maybe moving this to every other week too. They're talking about it. One thing she did though is that parents who wanted to could come back to the church the next 2 weeks and work with their children there. So out of 30, 40 families, they all came, and then the next week is supposed to be at home, for the next 3 weeks. She had about 10 families take her up on that and come on Wednesday night just to work with their parents, and she would be there to facilitate. She said that worked really well too. She said we got through the textbook, it was all great, parents are engaged. So Nativity, it worked out well too. And then, Cathedral, we talked about. Anybody else doing, I know Holy Spirit, you guys tried. Where's Father Keller? Weren't you in charge of that? Where are you? Bathroom? Purposely left, didn't he? Anyway, do you have any comments about?
Not much. I mean, just once a month where the parents were taught kind of adult education, which children went into their classrooms, and then they were just expected. We tried to do like mentors where the teachers would actually be also mentors, checking with the parents throughout the month. So that was shocking.
Yeah. I wonder too if it was too much for them during a COVID year. So because the schools were at home part of the year and so much stuff at home, that could have been a damper on it. Because I know you lost a lot of parents as the year went on, right? In your small groups, yeah. So that'd be something to evaluate. What do we need to do differently here? Anybody else do a family program that Father Gunwall, you did? Yeah. Do you have anything to say? How'd it go?
This echoing what has been said already by most, that we did it once a month, and with ours was the intention that they do the other 2 or 3 weeks at home, but we had a number of families indicate, I guess one new piece was parents who had not a difficult child, but a child that just couldn't keep their attention again because they're the parent. They didn't listen to them in the same way, and they were begging for help again, where they couldn't come in, and they would have been willing to work with them in that group, so that is a good thing to hear. But it was, they could not, with some of their younger kids, even the teacher said, yes, you have to treat them in a different way. They have to be active, and just having them sit down didn't work. You had to keep them moving.
Okay,
So,
that's interesting, because Nativity, she told me that they had like 0 disciplines problems this year, first time ever, where they didn't have any problems because the parents were there all the time. I was going to say, Cathedral also does, so they do the family program, but then each grade, so like let's say 5th grade, your month is February, the parents are supposed to come in of the 5th grader, and then the teacher facilitates the parent lessons with them. So the parents get used to working with their children in this lesson. So they do that as well. And I think that's been going fairly well, as far as I know. Yeah, that's just the teacher doing that one. Yeah.
Just have a question. What's the measure of, we've been 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
So how do we measure this kind of method versus more traditional method? What does OSD, do we have kind of way, is this really doing something good in the long term for the church? I mean, are people coming back to mass more, giving more collection?
What's the
How do you measure, we can also have lots of different kinds of programs, but are they more successful than what we did 40 years ago?
Well, okay, so we all know engaging parents is going to be more successful, there's no doubt, versus a drop-off.
How do you measure that?
Well, you just, I suppose with your conversations with parents, are you engaged? How do you like this? Do you hear them like participating more, talking about their faith more to other people? There isn't a tool, no.
Well,
Yeah, why don't you tell me where you want?
One of the things with that is, I think, at San Diego, we have a good number, percent enrolled in common.
Yeah.
But not looking at something else, you were that
Yeah.
served.
Yeah.
And so you think, one of the ways is that has changed, that we have seen these kids, these parents who are involved are also now, that has picked up. Is that true?
I can't tell you if they've measured that. I would think that would be the goal. I would think so too, but I can't tell you they actually have this, they've measured this. And
What was the question?
we have the drop-off model for years. Is there a measure of family catechesis working with family? Like, how do we know it works? Like, are they coming back to Mass, or does this work? And I said, there really isn't a tool for it other than as you're engaging with your parents, talking with them, seeing what they like, and do you see them in Mass again, or things like that.
You do know that the drop-off model has failed. I mean, that's pretty much obvious.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how measurable it is, but I mean, could be measurable if one wanted to do it. I'm just not quite sure how to do this. But between like the sacramental parent meetings and and now having gone through 4 years of this, you start seeing, you're going over the same material with the same parents. But just like for us and for the children, the repetition helps. You can always, I think, get to a new level. So I think actually having the consistent framework and then going year after year is fruitful. But I don't know how you measure it. I mean, their anchor results should theoretically help it, and hopefully we see people get more engaged. But I think having the structure in place and then being faithful to it. I mean, as you know, at the cathedral, and many other parishes have the same. When you have children with parents with lots and lots of children, and they come to their 5th, how do you prepare your child for baptism class? In some ways you start going, what's this worth? But then now those people have something more to share with everybody else. And just like for us, we do the same breviary every year. Sooner or later things sink in. I mean that in a positive way.
One thing I liked about the parent sessions is the sharing of the faith aspect. And some of those questions get into, obviously, the sacraments, the Mass, and they start discussing with each other. And then part of like the presenter can also, like Father Moen did this, gave his own reflections and his own witness of when he was confirmed or his Eucharist or different stories like that. And I really saw the parents' eyes sort of light up with those things. So those are powerful moments too when there's witnessing going on to the power of the sacraments. Continue.
We did a version of this that she showed where once a month we invited the parents and all their children to come to the church, and then we had Deacon Ed or myself or with Joshua Gall or Director Zed teach about the topic for that month, whether it was Revelation or Scripture or the sacraments or covenant, whatever the main theme for our faith was, we teach on that for 15, 20 minutes. So you give them that outline that you use when you have children in more than one grade, like you might have 4 children or 2 children in different grades, and then they were to, at home, the other Wednesdays, teach their children at home. And then the other thing we put into this would be one evening we'd have adoration. Another evening we'd have, like in October, the rosary. Another evening we'd have evening prayer with them. So they're doing the devotions and the prayers of the church that go with that season, or that season of the church's year. So that's what we did, but if we do the assessments, I think they flunked. Because, I don't think they're doing it at home.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
They're doing it at home, and we did it this way because of COVID this year, but we like some of the things of it, and we'll see if we can improve on it for next year.
Monsignor, when you said another evening, were you talking about one of the catechesis sessions, or were we talking about like Thursday or Tuesday, and then also along with the other regular sessions? You said another evening we would do stations or whatever.
Oh, it's the same. We always met Wednesday night.
Oh, it's
I
always-
meant another Wednesday,
Okay.
when we met once a month.
Okay, sure.
I think that the once a month model is appealing, probably for pastors, especially if you're struggling to get catechists. But I think that's the one that you really have to look at. Are they doing this at home or not? And if you're not assessing any of that, then I wouldn't even bother going that way. Because if you're not going to go find out, are they actually doing this at home? I think that's not helpful whatsoever. So I'm not saying you can't try that model, but you really do have to set up to see, is this going to work? Do I know my parents are engaged in doing this at home? I like what Cathedral's doing in Cavalier, where they switch to every week, but one of those, they bring the parents in, and you can do different models like that. So they are engaged, at least with some of it, but you still have some classroom there. Father Moen did say with sacramental prep that the first year he did this, he noticed sacramental prep was not going very well at home. Even though the parents seemed to be engaged, they seemed to be doing at least the Alive in Christ, but he wasn't doing well with this. So the second year he added 2 months that the second and third graders had to come to a class, more so than the other kids, just to do sacramental prep. He said that was better, but still not very good. So he's looking to revamp the sacramental prep to see how that could be better worked through. So, and it's also different, I think, for your space and your parents and things like that. Father Leffer?
Yeah, so there's a solution to that sacramental aspect of it. So what we do is take 6 weeks in addition, and so the first meeting is with the parents and the sponsors, where literally we take them back to their own sacraments, we do memory stuff with them. We lay out specifically what it is that needs to be accomplished from what they know and understand, or what the children to be. It's very much the arts of the visitor stuff. It's point by point laid out. This is what we say, this is what you do. And they know at the end of this introductory session in a couple weeks, the parents, sponsors, and children are coming together. And there's going to be this experience with the children, and we show the objectives of what's going to happen at that meeting, so they know what has to be accomplished. It's it's broken out step by step across the days of how they can break it down in their family situation to make it happen. We come back together, we had an experience which is just, it isn't just positive for the kids, but for the parents as well. They're learning together, it comes together. We repeat it then for Eucharist as well, we do this for penance as well another year. And then it leads right up to the retreat, which is usually either the day before or 3 days before the actual confirmation. And then we have the parish celebration, and it is a tremendous renewal of faith with the parents, the sponsors, the kids, and it works well. And so that's like within the context of the Faith Formation year.
Yeah.
So,
Did you write that?
yeah.
Yeah. So if you want that, don't come to me. He wrote it. No, but that experience is very important, especially in those retreats. Father Leffler does a little bit more than the retreats, and obviously that helps tremendously. Any other questions? So if this is something you're interested in, I think you should first go back and talk to your people. How could we make this work, our space, and then if you think, yes, we want to try something with our parents, and I talk to my people, you can contact me and I can walk you through maybe what aspect work, help you find the maze of Alive in Christ stuff, and help you with what you would like to do. So Monsignor Gehring and Father Moen did write their own PowerPoints as well, and they both said you could have those as well. But I kind of found, and probably they did too, but to teach your own stuff, it's almost like you got to write your own PowerPoints. And so, I had to write mine on here. So other than,
the ones that they came up with, since I was following their structure, they're very similar to what I would have done.
okay, so he likes them. He just, yeah.
They're a great help, because they save you a couple of hours.
Well, they got all the videos in there, right? Yeah.
Video links
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So, and you can go off their PowerPoints and take things off and add things, right? Yeah, you can fix theirs if you want something different. Yeah, they're built to be customized. So, all right, that is all I have. You have a chunk of time now for Mass. I don't know what Father Gunwell has planned. Fun and games, door prizes, gift cards.
All right, thank you, Mary. So we are wrapped up a little earlier than we planned for this day, but we wanted, again, the gathering together in the first place is a good thing for us. I was just recommended, and it's a good idea. Lauren Lowe has been broadcasting this out to Father Stephen Worth and one or other that have been watching online. But for those who haven't met him, Lauren Lowe takes care of the technology at the diocese. So when you've called with those issues, those questions, now you can see the face that goes behind the screen, the blank screen. And so our Mass isn't until 4 o'clock with Bishop in the main church. So in this in-between time, it's actually